Hey, Algebra 2 students. Sarah can't be there today. We're going to go ahead and learn this lesson on your video, so please get out your notes and open them to standard form. On this video, from time to time, you're probably going to have to pause, write some things down, and then come back to them. So we're going to get started with standard form. Our goal today is to be able to graph a quadratic function in standard form. A standard form function looks like this: ax squared plus bx plus c. Okay, so we've worked on vertex form, which looks like this. And we've worked on our intercept form. And now we have standard form. So you can see that all three of these equations have a very distinct look. And it really dictates how you think about, how you're going to graph them and what you're going to do. So some of the things you already know, which is good. Let's look in this core concept box. Things that you already know is that if A is positive, the parabola opens up. If A is negative, the parabola opens down. So same thing for intercept form, standard form, and vertex form. The big takeaways come from down here. So you'll see down here, okay, how we find the axis of symmetry and the y-intercept. Okay, those are the big takeaways in this section. The axis of symmetry is found by this equation right here. X equals negative b over 2a. Once you have the axis of symmetry, we can use that to find the vertex, which is that same negative b over 2a, and then we'll plug it in to get a y value, and I'll show you an example of this. The other big takeaway is that the y-intercept, we are 5 words we've been working on. Plug in 0 for x. Well, when we plug in 0 for x, it makes the a and the b go away, and it leaves us with just 0c. So let's look at an example and put this to work. Okay. So first thing I look at here is this equation is in standard form. So what information can I take away right away? Well, is the value of a positive or negative? So let's just write down a is 3, b is negative 6, c is 1. So since a is positive, what does this mean about our graph? It means that our parabola is going to open up. Okay. Our y-intercept is always 0, c, or if you really want to, plug in 0 for x. When you do that, 3 times 0 minus 6 times 0 leaves you with a y-intercept of 0, 1. Now we're going to look at how do we find the axis of symmetry. Well, our equation for the axis of symmetry is something you'll have to know, which is x equals negative b over 2a. When we plug in our values, we get negative 6, because that's our b value, over 2 times 3, which will give us 6 over 6, which is 1. Our axis of symmetry is x equals 1. Now, that axis of symmetry is always the same as the x value of the vertex. Once we have the x value of the vertex, we can plug it in to get a y value. So y equals 3 times 1 squared minus 6 times 1 plus 1. Make sure you follow your order of operations. 1 squared is 1, times 3 is 3, so 3 minus 6 plus 1 is negative 2. So let's take this information and put it on the graph. We have a an axis of symmetry at 1. We have a vertex at 1, negative 2. We have a y-intercept at 1. We can reflect that, we can reflect that point over here. And sure enough, that is enough information to get a graph of our equation. So things we want to double check. we want to make sure that we said our A value is positive, so it opens up. The graph we drew opens up, check, and then go along with all of your points. So what are the big takeaways so far? Well, we want to make sure we know how to find the axis of symmetry, which is this right here. And we want to know, once we have that axis of symmetry, we plug that x value in to get out the y value of the vertex. All right. Let's try again. So, here we go. We first notice we have a graph in standard form, that ax squared plus bx plus c. We can identify a is -2, b is -8, c is 3. So, is a positive or negative? Well, this time a is negative, which means the parabola is going to open down. The y-intercept is 0, c, so 0, 3. And our axis of symmetry is x equals -b over 2a. So when I plug in, I get -8 over 2 times -2. So that gives me 8 over -4. So x equals -2. So again, I take that x value and I put it there for the vertex. If I have an x value, then I plug it in to get a y value. So y equals -2 times -2 squared minus 8 times -2 plus 3. And follow your order of operations. I have to square this first. So that's -2 times 4 plus 16 plus 3. So that's -8 plus 16 plus 3, or 11. So let's take that information and put it on the graph. You're going to find your axis of symmetry at -2, a y-intercept at 3. Your vertex is slightly off here, so we can just approximate. Use that reflected point, and sure enough, that's enough to get started with that graph. So let's double check what we did. We said the value of a is negative, it opens down, check. Looks like everything's going pretty good. Let's try again. Okay, so let's take a look at this one right here. Notice that we're missing a b term on that standard form. Okay, so a would be 1, b would be 0, c would be -6. So if something's not there, it's a 0, and that hidden number in front of x here is a 1. So a is positive, so it opens up. Our y-intercept is 0, -6, down here. Our axis of symmetry, -0 over 2 times 1 is just 0. Which makes sense because our y-intercept here is also going to be our vertex. When I plug in 0, I get y equals 0 squared minus 6, which is -6. So all I have this time is an axis of symmetry and a vertex. So just like we did the other day, if that's all the information I have, make an XY t-chart, pick any x value not on the axis of symmetry. So if I picked x to be 1, well, when x is 1, y would be 1 squared minus 6, or -5. Reflect that point, and there we go. It's enough information to get going. I could have picked x to be 2, I could have picked x to be 3, -5, 12. Pick any x value just to get another point on the graph. Okay, we're going to stop there. We'll go over this last example in class tomorrow, but that's enough information to get you going for your homework tonight. I will see you tomorrow.